Now, the Walgreens story is a really, really interesting story for a number of different reasons, and I'll try and bring it out as best I can. And there's been a particularly interesting part in the last 100 days, because the company that Walgreens is now part of is actually just over 100 days old. It's called Walgreens Boots Alliance, and I'll spend a bit of time again just explaining what's behind that strategy and really what drove Walgreens to make this really, I think, very courageous move in terms of what it did. And I'll finish off with what I think is the most important part, and I heard this loud and clear in the panel, which really is about the customer. Because at the end of the day, all of us are in any company that makes money has got to make sure that they look after the needs of the customers today and tomorrow. And of course, in the ever-changing world, that's a really hard thing to do, with so much competition, so much change, and so much challenge. I'll try and bring that through and how we think about that and how we think about the future of the business. So these are the three things I'm going to speak around: about the customer-led culture, about encouraging innovation in the culture, and really this idea of partnership. I would say that the Walgreens business, until 100 days ago, was actually quite strong in terms of customer-led culture and innovation. I'll try and give examples of that in the past. And really the new strategy is about joining in this idea of being a partner with others. I'll explain why I think that in a second. This is the first Walgreens store. It was 1901 in Chicago. This company's 114 years old. It's done pretty well to get to the position it's got into, given the changes in the healthcare marketplace, the changes in pharmacy. And the thing about this picture, which always strikes me, and there's loads of pictures in the archives, when I first got the job in Walgreens, effectively 6 months ago, I was asked to do the job. I went back into the history of Walgreens a lot. I looked back a lot to try and understand what the business stood for, what the DNA of the business was, and what was really important to the people in Walgreens. We employ 250,000 people in all 50 states across America, 8,300 drugstores, and about 26,000 pharmacists. And I discovered, like I knew from my experience in the UK, being a UK pharmacist, having been a part of Boots the Chemist all my career since the age of 16, what mattered to people in Walgreens was people. It was a really community-based business. And this picture shows just people looking after customers. And it really is the same images right through the decades of just people looking after other people, being a real champion for other people. A real history of innovation. Around about 1980, there was a moment in Walgreens history which really moved it on. It's pretty well documented in the book Good to Great, a Jim Collins book. And what they did was they closed down a lot of stuff that was quite successful in the business, particularly the restaurants. And they focused on something at the time was really crazy in the business. People thought the management had gone mad. They focused on drive-through pharmacies. They moved their pharmacies from strip malls onto the corners of America. They focused on 24-hour pharmacy. And they focused on the pharmacy supply chain. And they made a real commitment to this. It didn't do it overnight. It wasn't, the word pivot was used. I mean, I also believe you've got to be careful with the word pivot. But they planned out what they were going to do. And they built, at their peak, they were building one store every 18 hours. So Walgreens wasn't a bunch of acquisitions. They did a bit of acquisition towards the end, Duane Reade and USA Drug and a couple of others. But the majority of this chain was built store by store. And it was a property play. They picked the best intersections in America and they put down the same box with the same farm supply chain. And it was a hugely successful strategy right until the early 1990s. And then amongst all that stuff, there's loads of other innovations they did. They were the first, from a technology point of view, they connected all their pharmacies together. I think it was 1981. Yeah, satellite, I can just read it. They connect all the pharmacies together, so they actually have had the same, they call it Intercom Plus, they've had the same technology in pharmacy, connecting people's records together since 1981. And that technology's lasted until today. It's a bit of a challenge today because it's a bit slow, but it's a good dinosaur in this case because it really gave them a strategic advantage for all these years. So innovation was really in the business. The other thing that they did, which I think has been really courageous, is the board decided in Walgreens about 3 years ago to become part of the first global pharmacy company. And there was a couple of reasons for that. There was enormous pressure on them in the market. Their one pharmacy at a time model had stalled. And they noticed that the whole of healthcare was globalizing, that more and more of the people they were speaking to were actually part of a global industry. So whether it be technology, whether it be the pharmaceutical industry, whether it be FMCG companies like P&G are here today and PepsiCo are here today, they noticed that more and more, that more of our relationships were outside of America. And therefore they made this decision to become the first global pharmacy-led business. And that was quite a big deal. And they joined up with Alliance Boots. And this deal was done about 3 years ago, and it was consolidated on the NASDAQ. I think NASDAQ here as well. On January the 1st, we rang the bell and had all the big clapping and all the stuff from the ceiling. It was good fun, I have to say. It was great fun. And Walgreens Boots Alliance, therefore, is a real partnership business. The reality of this business is that it really has got 3 divisions. It's a $130 billion business, turnover-wise. It's in about 23, 24 countries. It's not quite global, but it's certainly international. It's got the 3 parts to it. So Retail Pharmacy USA is Walgreens. Retail Pharmacy International is Boots, which is primarily in the UK, but it also has got Boots in countries like Norway, Ireland, Thailand, the Middle East. We also own about 1,200 pharmacies in Mexico and about 300 pharmacies in Chile. So in total, we've got about 13,000 pharmacies between Retail Pharmacy USA and Retail Pharmacy International. And many of these are actually market leaders, Walgreens and Boots in particular, probably being the 2 best brands in pharmacy in the globe. But it's underpinned by a really strong supply chain. Alliance Healthcare, which is their wholesale division, is the biggest company by volume in the world. There's others which have more value. For example, Silesia's owner McKesson, who is obviously a big company here. But in terms of units shifted, it's Alliance Healthcare, and they're also the most global. They operate right across all the main European countries, from Spain to Italy to France, Germany, UK, Turkey. And they also have partnerships, for example, in China. They have a 50% ownership of Guangzhou Pharma, which is the 5th biggest wholesaler in China. And they own about 12% of Beijing, and they've been here for 10 years. So a really efficient supply chain. And the whole purpose of this deal was 2 things, beyond just becoming global, because that's going to be important in the next 10 years. Number 1 was short-term synergies. We are the biggest buyer of generic drugs in the world, and that's a really important commodity for pharmacy and also for healthcare. But secondly, and really importantly, the sharing of best practice. Whether it be supply chain, whether it be IT, whether it be the practice of pharmacy, the practice of retail. Again, very important part of the reason for it. But the core purpose of this business, and the thing that's going to make this what looks like a very complicated, and certainly is played out in a pretty difficult way in both inside the company and also in the press, work. And this is, I can guarantee this merger will work because people are held together by the same purpose. Because this business is pharmacy-led, it's healthcare-driven, and people in this business believe in a purpose beyond profit. So this idea of helping people across the world to lead healthy and happier lives is really what's going to hold this culture together. This is a global company that's really, really local, in people's communities, serving people every single minute of every day with prescriptions. And this idea of a purpose beyond profit, and the purpose here of the company is this idea, is the most powerful idea that's going to drive the strategy going forward. It's the real reason for the deal. And when we put this on the board inside of our company, and when we speak about the vision of the company to be a global healthcare champion other one's rights to have affordable and accessible healthcare, then this really drives people in the company on, because they are health givers in the end of the day, because they're mainly pharmacists like myself. And we see Happy and Healthy, which has been a great campaign in the US. It was done by the previous team. And this idea of Happy and Healthy, the corner of Happy and Healthy for Walgreens, has been really powerful. We've given the purpose of Walgreens is to champion everyone's right to be happy and healthy. Champion for others has been really important. Everyone been really important, because everyone has a right to have healthcare and to be content in life, as content as possible. And it's a really emotional connection. Our core customer, I'll speak about customers at the end, is women. Well over 70% of our customer base is women, and it's growing. And they're the CMO of the family. They really want to take care of themselves, but more importantly, take care of the healthcare needs of the family, whether it be the extended family or the immediate family. And they want to feel good themselves. And therefore, the connection between happy and healthy is really important to our core customer. And we want to be their champion, making sure that we give them the right advice, the right solutions in this space. Also importantly, in this particular aspect, is really the ethics by which we run the business. This is a very regulated market for sure. Pharmacists are trained to a very high standard, 6 years in America now. Doctors of pharmacy is now the degree. And people are really here to do the right thing for the customer and for the environment. The Boots company in the UK, the biggest difference with the UK, it was called the Boots Pure Drug Company. It actually was the developer of ibuprofen when it was a pharmaceutical company as well as a pharmacy back in the 1960s and 70s. And therefore, the CSR agenda in the group is very, very strong, both in terms of community, supply chain and the planet. And it's a very important part of what spurs us on, going back to that purpose again that ties people together. And it really goes back again in every bit of the DNA. This is why I go back to the strategy being very clear. This is the founder of Walgreens, who was an amazing guy. This guy, you know, just built this business from zero. He was a Swedish immigrant. His name wasn't Walgreens. His name was Olfison, I think it was. And he came, you know, as many people came to America at the previous century. And he picked the name Walgreens as he came into America from a list of many names he could pick. So there's not many Walgreens in the country. And he built this business up, you know, from the start as a real entrepreneur. But this was his core belief. This idea of uncommon thoughtfulness and unusual service is deeply, deeply embedded in the business. He had a 2-minute drill. He used to take a phone call from customers who lived very local to him, and he would actually ask his assistant, he would keep the customer on the phone, and then he would run down the road if he could to where the customer stayed and knock on the door and give the customer the product. So the assistant would. So there was a real drive in this guy to just be completely obsessed with customer and completely obsessed with innovation. And this is deep in the DNA of the company, why I think it's been able to evolve into what it is. And today we apply it in different ways. There's four, I would say, platforms that we have today in the business that we're really proud of, that demonstrate that sort of uncommon thoughtfulness. One is, I'll show the video in a second, called Get a Shot, Give a Shot. We also have a platform for Vitamin Angels, which means every time people buy vitamins from us, we give money to this fantastic company who's been going around for about 30 years, and they basically give life-saving vitamins to children across the world, a guy called Harold Schultz. And we're about to launch Red Nose Day, which is the biggest children's charity in the UK coming to the US, and you'll probably see it around the place, but it's all about, again, we'll raise a lot of money. And what the purpose of this, again, is to get at the purpose of the strategy, which is about this idea of healthcare and being a care company, and using our platform of 8,200 stores and our platform of the way we connect community in America to community overseas to make sure that we leverage that for doing good things both in the USA and beyond the USA. This is Get a Shot at Life campaign with United Nations, where we donate every time you get a vaccination or a shot, as you say in America. From Walgreens, we give a shot to a child somewhere else in the world who's been identified as requiring a vaccination. This is a short film. It's not a marketing thing. It's on the internet. But what it's showing is actually 2 of our pharmacists actually seeing the effect of their work out in Africa.
If I grow up, I will help others which ones they don't know.
If I grow, I want to be an accountant.
If I be a big one, I like to be a teacher.
In low-resource countries right now, vaccine-preventable diseases account for about 20% of all childhood deaths. There are some weeks where 1 child a day that passes away, and they're small. These are small little babies that are dying. There are huge financial challenges in delivering vaccines to children in Africa. For example, in Tanzania, 80% of the population earns $3 or less a day. How can you ever afford a vaccine when your daily income is only $2 or $3?
This is a situation where you can actually help. There's an answer here, there's a solution. All we need to do is get the vaccines to the children in need.
Walgreens has a program called the Get a Shot, Give a Shot program. It's a collaboration between the UN Foundation and the Walgreens company, in which for every vaccine that we administer at our pharmacies, then Walgreens will donate a vaccine in an underdeveloped country. We're here in Tanzania to see firsthand the impact that it has.
how much help can we do? We can't help a lot with treating diseases that people already have. So our best shot is to prevent people from getting diseases. And so vaccines are a very important part of that. And so in 2 minutes, I can provide healthcare to that patient that's gonna last them the rest of their life.
Yaani ukimpa mtoto mmoja chanjo, umeokoa familia kubwa sana. Yaani umeokoa kizazi. Kwa sababu huyo mtoto angeweza kuwa rais, angeweza kuwa daktari. Kwa hiyo tunaokoa kitu kikubwa sana, kitu cha muhimu.
The one that impacted the most was a mother that had a baby. And I asked the nurse how old the baby was. And she told me the baby had been born last night. We get that not even 1 day old baby, the measles and the polio, then you made a difference. Programs like Get a Shot, Give a Shot, it brings life to this country. It brings chances to live.
When we're vaccinating a child, inside of you, you know what you're providing to this child. You're providing an opportunity. So it's not an if I will grow up, it's an I will grow up.
When I grow up, I want to be a lawyer.
When I grow up, I'd like to be an accountant or a singer.
When I grow up, I want to be a doctor.
I want to be a doctor.
We've actually doubled the contribution this year. I'm going to double it again next year. So again, this is one of our platforms we use. But the reason for showing it is that, again, this is what's kept Walgreens going for 114 years. That's that commitment to others. That's part of the strategy, and it's really important to our people as well as to our customers.